Alright, well, hope you guys enjoyed the movie review. That should have been, now we're recording this before I get the review, so that should have been a movie review of Thor from Adam Hawes. If for some reason he doesn't have it done in time, I'll have to throw something else in there. But I'm assuming
or we could not, and then just like, what are they talking about? Did I miss a segment?
Yeah. So there'll be a review of something. It may be on. There may be a review of the shaped circle, but we'll see.
The shaped circle?
Yeah. Circle's a shape. So the shaped circle. It sounds funny, but it actually makes sense if you actually. The shaped square, or the person Jeff, the movie Thor, the shaped circle. Anyways, we are talking about, well, as Jeff put it a minute ago, Scientology with an iPhone app, which I want to hear his reason why he said that, because I have a different take on it. But anyways, I was watching Dig Nation, episode 306, and they were talking about a story which led them into talking about religions and stuff like that, and they're like, why isn't there just a cool religion where you just sit around and hang out and do cool things? Well, first off, because that's not religion, that's just called having friends.
That's called going to a bar, is what that's
Yeah,
called.
going to a bar, or having like a party at your house, or you know, having a really...
This is mine, right?
It's not mine.
Okay. And I just grabbed it, I was like, sweet, it's full.
Is it cold?
Yeah, it's still cold.
We need like a Geek Church mom, because there's just drinks on our coffee table from... We used to be good at cleaning up, because you could see the table, but now you can't, so we just have... There's...
6, 7, 8, 9.
And then how many bags of chips and candy wrappers? It actually, it kind of looks like this is your bedroom or something, minus the bed, you know? It's like, it would look like a single guy's bedroom.
Yeah, because we folded the bed in so he could sit on this and do the show.
This does not fold out. This is my old couch. This is not Jeff's bed.
This is way more comfortable.
We are not doing Jeff's show on his bed. That's just weird. But anyways, so Keven Rose was talking about this idea for a religion he has. And essentially, it's where, like, if you go to, like, his website or something, you see Keven is a level 4 or whatever it is. When you get into it, and it's very, like, secretive in the fact of, like, it doesn't go, oh, hey, this is the religion.
Welcome to our church.
Yeah, it's like, oh, enter in your email address, and you do this. And essentially what it is, it's like a leveling up system. So you send in, like, they'll send you, like, random good deeds. And essentially it's like a pay it forward mentality with technology leveling up system on top of it, is my opinion. You're saying Scientology with that on it, and because that's what I took from it, is he was like, oh, then we send you and you do good deeds, and then this, and once you get up levels, and then you can actually put in suggestions for good deeds for other people to do, and you level up, and that's the religion. And there is a piece of it though where, and I see probably where Scientology. We'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to talk about the leveling up system that he talked about, because I've actually had similar ideas for youth group stuff. In fact, it's funny because about a week and a half before I watched the episode, I'm like, you know, the thing that's really popular is this whole, like, the achievements, or if you're an Xbox person, or leveling up, or whatever it is. I get addicted on it. Like, I find myself just clicking buttons on I'm like, why am I doing that? Oh, to get to the next level. Like, that stupid Backyard Monsters game. I'm like, why am I still playing this? It takes forever to do anything. I don't really enjoy it that much more. Why am I still doing it? Well, because I need to level up my buildings, and I can get up to the next level, and you know.
Yeah, I have to say, achievements has to be one of the most like reinvigorating installations into gaming, because first they're so rewarding. You go into BioShock with my first experience with it. You start the first level, instant like achievement. You already feel like you just completed the game, and you haven't even gotten started yet. They're so rewarding. It's like artificial progress. Or you get them for dying a certain number of times in a level. You get them for getting a certain number of kills with a specific weapon, and finding a certain number of like Easter eggs in games. I mean, they're so innovative and just so like entertaining. It's like, I have to find that little skull in that whatever map in Halo, or I have to get that certain costume in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, or whatever it is.
That's annoying. Like, it would drive me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so... And even, like, I play a lot of Flash games on Newgrounds.com. A lot of their best games that are on that site have achievements built into them where, like, you start certain levels, you get a number of kills, you get so many deaths, stuff like that, and it's just...
Well, because if you just play straight through a game, everything adds more value, because it makes your game worth more, because there's more time. Because if you just play straight through a game, let's say the game has 6 hours of gameplay, it's a shorter game, well, you play through it, you're only going to get maybe, if you're not achievement hunting, First off, most games to get 100% achievements, you have to play the game at least twice. Like Fable.
Yeah, because you have to beat it, and then you have to beat it on the next difficulty.
Or some of the games like Fable, you have to beat it as a good guy, and you have to beat it as a bad guy. So first off, it turns like a 6-hour game if you do everything into like a 20-something hour, or 30-something, or 40,
And some of them, you'll be like, where is it?
Yeah. Ah! Well, so the whole idea of achievements, I was like, you know what? That obsession of like, I have to get, like, I want my youth kids to have that obsession with getting back to youth. I'm like, because it would solve your attendance problems, it would solve like their getting into stuff problems,
like,
advanced
discipleship, and getting into their words.
So I'm like, if they're obsessed about leveling up and art, I was like, I totally need to do this. And I've always liked the idea of a game. I had a youth pastor way back in high school. I guess I was on leadership. I wasn't in her. She was the youth pastor. I was a leader. And she kind of came with but it was more of like a board game style. It was Wendy. It was like, in fact, me and Michael made it. And so it was points-based, and then you moved, and the first one to get to the end was like 4 teams, and the first one to get
into the map. Yeah, you get points for bringing your Bible and showing
and even attendance
your team color,
work day. Yeah, we all had T-shirts. And so, like, there was, like, media team, drama team, regular youth group, and worship team T-shirts. And so if you wore your T-shirt, just stuff like that. And it was a really fun thing we did over the summer. And unfortunately, she left before we actually got to finish it. And I was like, so I've always liked the idea. Like, well, if we add the achievement thing, it makes it more addicting. It's like, you tell your kids, oh, hey, guys, you should read this passage.
The buy-in, exponentially.
So I was already kind of thinking about this. So then I started laughing when I saw this. I'm like, that's funny, because he's basically turning achievements and good deeds into like, and it's not really a religion, but the part that was getting a little on the religious side, and I think this is what Jeff wanted to talk about, was towards the end, he talked about how like everyone will like be their own gods, and all gods are equal, and we're just all gods kind of thing.
Yeah, no.
I think that's probably what you meant by the, is that what you meant by?
Because Scientology is basically, we're all gods of our own, whatever you want to say, and we're all in charge of our own thing.
Unless you get raped by an alien, and then,
Yeah, and like when you die, you pass into a higher existence plane.
See, but if you're God, how do you pass into a higher existence plane?
Because it can't get any worse.
But by definition, isn't like God like? I mean, obviously we deal a lot with this kind of stuff in comics. Like Thor is like a god. We've kind of talked about this, about how they say God, but really they're not. Like most gods in comics are like immortals, basically. Like there's not really any difference between.
It's like in Hancock, where they're talking about what Will Smith's character asks Charlize Theron, "What are we?" And what was that?
It had like cracks in it. I don't know why.
What was it?
It was Eminem.
Oh, I was like, I don't know why I didn't. Anyways, and she goes, well, like back in whatever age, we were gods, and we've been called angels.
Yeah.
Now we're called superheroes, because it's just like the language like increases, or like in Thor,
like,
where he makes a reference like science and magic are the same thing.
But essentially, they're not really gods. They're just like in Thor, and I haven't seen the movie yet. But they would just be like. There'd be no different like in the Bible, like the giants and stuff, and there was a lot of times where there were guys who were physically superior, bigger, stronger, like Goliath and stuff, and they didn't make them gods. It just gave them the ability to own humans, like they're like
generals and things.
Yeah, and so like I don't. So that's really in that sense, like if you're saying, oh, at the point that everyone's a god, then what's the difference of everyone being a god or everyone being human? You know what I mean? Oh, we're all gods. Okay, so being a god doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole point of there being a god, is like, he's like the supreme being, and like every culture has its own version, and even versions where their deity is weaker or not as, because not all of them, I don't think a lot, well, they don't all have like all-powerful supreme,
Yeah, you go with like the Greek or Roman gods, you read about them, all of them have lusts and desires and flaws and pride and things like that they're humans just like with powers, is essentially what they are.
Like, they're just immortal superheroes, is all they are. There's no difference between the Greek
villains.
Listen to this. What is the difference between the Greek gods and the Justice League? Nothing. Except for one of them wears tight spandex and one of them wears almost nothing. Like, there's no difference between them. In fact, Superman could probably kick the crap out of Zeus. And we know Batman could take Ares. So it's like,
because even the gods can die and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're immortal in the sense of not that they can't be killed, in the fact that they live forever if they're not killed. So it's like, they're really just superheroes. They were just called, so that's my whole thing, is if we're all, that's stupid. Like, no offense, Kevin, like he's watching. But like, if you're all going to be gods, why sound like a weirdo? Like, oh, we're all gods, and people look at you like, what? Might as well just be like, oh, we're all equal. Or we're all, like, that's kind of, I don't know, I thought it was kind of dumb. of the whole idea of like, oh, we're all. I don't know. I've just never liked.
It doesn't even make sense because if I'm God, how come I can't create my own little pocket galaxy and play with it in marbles or something like that?
You can on the computer.
You can. Yeah, backyard's full of monsters. But
I'm getting annoyed at Mark Pincus.
Why?
No, that's not him. That's not a Zynga game. That's a casual, whatever game. No, I don't want to spend money, and because I don't spend money, everything takes so long. So it's like, well, then why am I even doing it? But then I'm freaking addicted to the whole achievement kind of thing. And I'm like, because I want to be the best. I'm like, number 2. Like, Mark is the only guy ahead of me.
The whole idea of having an iPhone app that creates achievements, I think is probably would be the biggest like innovation of like Saddleback Church.
Well, yeah, I think religion was more of an idea that was more of an implementation system that would go on top of a religion. It wasn't really a religion in and of itself. Or, in his sense, his religion was an achievement system just to promote good deeds. But that doesn't really... At that point, it turns into a game. So it's not that much... It's a lot better, but it's not that much different than, like, Foursquare, where you check into places, you know what I mean? That's not really a religion. That doesn't affect your life. Like, I mean, okay, yeah, if you start doing more good deeds, but, I mean, ultimately, like...
All you end up being is a better bad person, is what you really are. It doesn't increase your spiritual like state, because of course we know that Jesus is the only way through to the Father. If there's no relationship with God, then all you become is the best of the worst, and you're still destined for destruction.
But what happens, like, okay, you said level 4, so what if it goes up to like 5? Oh, I'm at level 5. Okay, well there's no more growth, so screw this, we're done with it. Now we're going to go to the next thing, you know? But, I don't know.
It would have to be constantly expanded. Or where I think the cool thing he had where, like, once you get to a level 10 and all the level 10s get together and do a thing, creates like an elitism almost.
Yeah, but still, it's not a religion. It's just a hangout. Yeah. A group of guys, like, that's like no different than like the Elks Lodge or something. You know, they get together. It's a bunch of old guys get together. They drink. They talk crap about their wives. You know, maybe I don't know. I'm not an elk member. I'm just assuming, you know, from movies or whatever. But like, they play some games. They have a few weird traditions, you know, or like, but that's not a religion. They don't go, oh, I go to the Church of Elk Lodge or the Church of Elks, you know. And even the Secret Society ones, like, it's not like a religion. It's just that's what they do. So essentially, what they were saying is like, well, instead of a religion, we're gonna do this. We're just gonna try to make ourselves make ourselves better, the peak of human. Which that thing's been around forever. That's just the whole like
humanism and
when I was a kid, it was called New Age, and now I mean the term New Age I think is not as relevant anymore. But that's just trying to make yourself the best person you can be. But like Jeff said, that's like trying to like make something or like it's funny in visual effects of the term of polishing a turd. It's like it doesn't matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd, you know. So it's like. It doesn't matter how good your effects are. If it's a horrible movie, it's a horrible movie. So it's like the same thing. It's like, well, if we're just human, it doesn't matter how good of humans we are. We're still human. That doesn't solve, you know, our need to have a connection to a higher power of God, or it doesn't get us into heaven.
You can even use like the gap analogy that's so old and used, where it's like God's over here and heaven and everything. It doesn't matter how fast you run. Coming over here, you're never going to reach all the way across that gap.
You know how many paintings of that and tracks of that I've seen?
I know.
It's like, so old.
Yeah. And then you have the cross bridge.
I think that about...
handrails.
Yeah. That's, yeah. I think that about does it for, you know, honestly, actually, I think about it. No, I won't say that. That about does it for this episode. I'll say that off camera. And I hope you guys like the new format. And we'll see you guys... Well, actually, we'll see you guys in a few days for our little special thing we're doing on March 22nd. May 22nd. We don't have a time machine.
Yeah.
May 22nd.
March 22nd.
The day after the world ends.
Or not. Well, if we record it ahead of time and the rapture really does come, we'll come.
Well, then it will never get aired.
That's true.
So it won't matter, you know.
Well, there'll be somebody over at Blep to manage the servers, right?
No, I won't upload it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to upload it like Saturday night after midnight. So if the end of the world happens to happen, who cares about the episode? It's over, you know? We're done. We checked out. Which it won't end because, well, we'll get into that next, or in a couple of days when we see you guys for our bonus episode. And then we'll see you guys next week for episode 26. All right. Later.